China's central bank just hosted a weekend conference about the currency war, and it's sure to be a huge topic this week at the G20 summit in South Korea. But our next guest says the whole yuan debate just doesn't matter. Let's get more now from Jack Wadsworth. He's honorary chairman of Morgan Stanley Asia and founders of CEYUAN Ventures. And you say that means original idea?
That's right.
All right. Well, you've been active, particularly with this firm for about 5 years now, the private equity fund. Tell me, though, more broadly, because so much coverage right now of anything happening in China is framed within the political noise out of Washington with this. They've got to move on and allow appreciation beyond this 3%. Why do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, I think business in China is doing fine. The real question of competitiveness between China and the U.S. is about the labor rates in China, which are about 1/10 of those in the United States. So to the extent that it's about jobs in Ohio or jobs in Michigan, a 10% appreciation in the yuan or a 3% appreciation in the yuan is not going to make the difference. The difference is going to be made about America becoming more competitive and figuring out ways to invest in China, partner in China. It is a political issue that is a serious issue, and to the extent that the U.S.-China relationship it becomes a problem, then I would not say it is totally not an issue.
Right.
So that's important.
Right. The potential of this developing into more of a dispute is a real issue there. When you are active in doing investment in China, your experience is that they are open on the private equity front, at least, in allowing for foreign ownership and the like.
Right.
We've seen Carlyle, we've seen Fortress make big strides within China right now. What's happening?
Well, we are in a special niche. CEYUAN Ventures is a venture capital firm. So we start companies. Our typical investment is $5 to $10 million. We've started about 30 companies, and over 5 years, that's a large task. These companies, many of them are showing the same kind of promise that we saw in venture capital in Palo Alto and Menlo Park in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The Carlyles, the Fortresses, are interested in what I would call growth equity, much larger investments, 50 million, 100 million, even above that. So we're not really playing in the same arena. There are many companies now that are growing at rapid rates that are still private in China that need funding to grow more, and that's the opportunity that those firms see, but it's quite different from ours.
And the shift there has been towards yuan-denominated funds.
Yes, right. They're both. They're international currency funds and they're local renminbi-denominated funds. The local funds seem to be the flavor of the day.
Now, you as well, you serve as an advisor to the China Securities Regulatory Commission. You're in an advisory role there. So talk to me, when you look at China and you're active doing business there now, I mean, is your sense that the greater economic plan, financial growth plan, is about hyper-growth, or is it about simply closing the gap between the cities and the country, the rich and the poor?
Margaret, it has to be about both. I mean, it has to be about both. And the challenge for the Chinese is to keep the capital flowing in, keep investment high, keep the economy growing, avoid inflation, and steer investment into the provinces for sure. They're very conscious of that. But I think it's the overall growth rate that keeps China healthy. It's one of the things that we see in what we do, and the Chinese government understands this, it's new companies that create new jobs. It's not old companies. And all of this plan is really about social stability, creating more jobs, keeping the country growing, and avoiding asset bubbles.
Well, we do know that this month the Chinese government is supposed to be unveiling their new 5-year plan there, right? It's still a planned economy in many ways. What's the overwhelming theme within that, the overarching one for you?
Well, I think they will continue to emphasize infrastructure investment. They will continue to emphasize across the board job creation and certainly investment in the provinces. But the big question is the currency in terms of its convertibility. I mean, this has to be addressed in the 5-year plan. The government has never been willing to put a stake in the ground and say, by such and such a date, we will make our currency convertible on capital account.
You think they will this time?
I'm hoping they will. The Shanghai government has said that the Shanghai financial market will be the financial center of Asia by 2020. And they have a footnote that says that presumes that the currency is convertible on capital account.
What does a convertible currency look like to you?
A convertible currency is one that is determined, its level is determined in the marketplace. I mean, the big issue, the big dilemma now, and people really need to understand that when it comes to currency, there are two issues. One is the level of the currency, which seems to be the focus of political debate.
Right.
But the other critical issue is how is that level determined? And right now, because it's not trading in the market, it's determined by the government with a basket of currencies that are designed to reflect the competitiveness of the Chinese economy.
Right, and that estimate that's thrown out, there's a 20%, valuation in terms of unfair advantage.
The work I've seen and modeling a currency value is as tough as modeling a common stock value.
Yeah.
Because it's not just jobs and trade deficits. It's about interest rates and inflation and growth rates. The models I've seen show that it's undervalued between 5 and 10%.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. But it's a complicated formula. But that's. I wish I could get that into the congressional debate.
Yeah, well, if you've seen close to, 2.7% appreciation,
this year.
You think you could see this year a 5 to 10%?
Yes, sure.
Without social instability. I mean, there are those who say you can't move that quickly.
Right, right.
You say no. All right, we'll have to track and then see whether that either gets injected into the debate or happens. But interesting perspective. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.